All right, powering through. I'm powering through. I just worked a full shift and here I am trying to power through probably 3 hours of videos. So please like and subscribe. Help me out here. Help me turn this into a full-time job, please. I would greatly appreciate it. All right. So I am working on multiple series. I'm going to be rotating between many different series, 10 series in total in 2026. I am laying the foundation for all of those series now in the end of 2025. So this series is called, I'm not really sure yet. I probably should nail that. The Planets as Archetypes, the Original Language of the Unconscious. I might change it, I might not, but that is what I'm going with right now. So I just completed the introduction and the sun video, and now I'm going to be moving on to Mercury. So I am going to break down the planet, the psyche, psychologically, the astrological portion, polarity, masculine and feminine, polarity within the planet, the life initiation, and the collective age. We are in the Aquarian age, so I am giving the planets an updated lens. So this video is about Mercury. Mercury. Oh, sorry, man. I am like, all right, we're doing it. We're here. We're doing it. There's some comedian. Gosh, who was that? I don't have Instagram anymore. There was a comedian. I can picture his face, but he's like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it, man. Just the way he said it, it was hilarious. He would look in the mirror and film himself and say it. Ah, hilarious. Anyways, I just had a flashback. I'm an Aquarius Mercury, excuse me. I have an odd sense of humor. It can be dark and it can be light and it can be here and it can be there. So, Aquarius, yes. Normally my jokes won't hit you until 3 hours later, and then you're like unraveling layer upon layer upon layer of humor, and you're like, wow. I'm sorry. We're talking about Mercury. I'm an Aquarius Mercury. I was in a live stream. Jeremiah, I'm so bad with names. He's a Libra. Swartz? Jeremiah Swartz, that might be it. I can remember everyone's personality type, but the names escape me. I care about essence and energy. And I dropped a bomb on a live stream. Okay, he's like a trauma pattern healing nervous system coach. Okay, so he knows a lot about psychology, shadow work, depth psychology, spirituality. So he's really in tune with what I'm actually doing as well. And so I always love to amp people up, especially if they're younger than me. I'm like, yes, especially if they're a man. I'm like, yes. And so I left a donation on his live, and then I asked like 4 really in depth. I knew he was going to have to push himself intellectually, spiritually to answer the questions, but I also knew that he was capable, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't just a light, whatever. But I dropped a super chat and I said, I'm really racking your brain today. I'm really racking your brain today. And I just I thought of it and I sent it, and then I was like, oh, wait. And I sat there and I was like, did I seriously just tell a trauma coach that I'm racking his brain? Like, he's literally trying to help people with their nervous systems. It's a very old saying, racking your brain, like stretching your brain. It's like a really old term. And if you get it, you get it. I'm like, I literally just told a trauma coach that I'm racking his brain, and he's trying to help others get out of racking their own brain. It was hilarious. That's my sense of humor. And he was on live and he read it, and I can tell that he didn't really get it. He was in live stream mode, so he's like, I'll log that for later. I know a couple of hours later, probably in the shower randomly, he was like, oh, like, yeah, I get it. I know it hit him later. Hysterical. Anyways, All right, so we're talking about Mercury, the architecture of your mind. Aquarians are the architects. That's my favorite word. And I'm like an architect of the mind. So, psychologically, astrologically, metaphysically, metaphorically, how do you say that? Through mythology, you name it. So, Mercury is the architect of your mind. The mind, the messenger, the magician, the voice of your soul. All right. So, Mercury is not just the way you think, it is the way your soul moves. Your mind is not random, it is designed. And Mercury is the blueprint of how you learn, speak, process, interpret, translate, and transform reality. If the sun is your identity, Mercury is the operating system that makes that identity possible. Before I move on, I want to make a little brief note because I have been doing birth charts and astrology and combining it with psychology for, I don't know, it's been probably a decade at this point, 8, 9, 10 years, and time escapes me, if you can imagine. And Mercury doesn't really exactly start kicking online. I'm also a parent, and I've talked to many parents, and I watch my language, because not everyone understands this type of language. But Mercury doesn't really start kicking in until you're like 25 or 30. So I just wanted to put that as a side note. I don't know really who I'm talking to here, but if you're trying to feel into your Mercury and you're younger than that, just realize that you're operating more from your sun sign rather than your Mercury. Mercury is extremely important to understand. I would honestly probably, like, if you're 25 and older, the first thing I would do is go to your Mercury and try to understand your Mercury. That's how important it is to understand within your chart. Your thinking, your communication. Mercury is so important. That's the very first thing I will look at in someone's chart to understand like their biggest energy that they're coming from. Okay, so yeah, section 1, what Mercury actually is. So most astrologers stop too early. All right, so people say Mercury is communication. That's normally where they stop at, but that's surface level. Mercury is your perception style, your cognitive wiring, your intuition channel, your verbal magic, your nervous system patterning. Patterning. Your nervous system patterning. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. I've gotten into a lot of nervous system work. It's really wild because Jeremiah, he was really on the darker side of the spiritual the personal development when it comes to spirituality and initiating yourself into self-development. So he was really on the darker side. That's where he started. And now he is into a lot about nervous system work. I love seeing people's evolution and their own studies and their own business and their own understanding, because there's not very many people like myself that are like studying this type of stuff, that have this type of business, and to see people evolve through this type of work is extremely fascinating. And so this age is the Aquarian age. And I've been studying polarity work, the feminine and masculine within ourselves and within our relationships, within the collective, within business. You have to understand polarity work in order to actually integrate yourself. That's literally what Carl Jung was talking about with the anima and animus. And then you put that on top of the ego work. And you're like, okay, so the inferior cognitive function within your ego starts getting into the subconscious realm. But in order to get there, you have to integrate your own masculine and feminine. And the deeper you study into that, you're realizing that it's actually nervous system work too. That it's so fundamental. So Mercury is so fundamental to spiritual growth, psychological growth. I want to really hammer that in because Mercury, you need to really understand your Mercury. And that is my ego books, my personality astro-psychological deep dives, in-depth analysis ebooks. Those are based on ego. They're volume ones. But if your Mercury is in one of the ego books that I have, I would highly suggest that you look into your Mercury. Like, yes, I frame it. It is framed as your ego, but it's so foundational. Like, it is, you can also place that into your Mercury. So just, sorry, Menez is running. It's like, oops, freezing in here. It's like extremely windy. Anyways, so side tangent. This is so important. So I cannot honestly stress it enough. All right, so I hammered that, I think, well enough. All right, so Mercury certainly is your nervous system patterning, the bridge between soul and mind, the translator between unconscious and conscious. Mercury determines how you think, why you think that way, how quickly you process, how deeply you analyze, how you articulate meaning, how you solve problems, how you connect dots no one else sees. Mercury is your mental frequency, not necessarily your IQ, not necessarily your intelligence, but your frequency. If you get it, you get it. Some Mercury placements think linearly. Some think symbolically. Some think in images, and some think in metaphors. Some think in patterns, contradictions, and some think in downloads. Mercury defines the language your soul uses to speak to you. Section 2, Mercury as the nervous system, the hidden layer nobody teaches, almost. Like, let me just sit here and think. There is a few. One that's coming to mind, I cannot remember his name. Ooh, this is gonna drive me. Give me 1 second. I have to give credit where credit is due. This poor man, he has aged so much. He's aged a lot. He's so knowledgeable, but his health is not doing well at all. I'm going to give a freaking shout out. Let me, I don't know where I've saved it. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna look at my notes. His name, I can't remember his name. I don't think I'm gonna be able to find it. This is gonna drive me insane. I'll find it as soon as I get off here too. I've got thousands of notes with the word influence. Okay, I'm gonna look one more place, and if it isn't there, it isn't there. His energy, like, I can remember his energy, but I'm having a hard time. Fernando. That's his first name. Fernando. How do you spell Fernando? Dang it, what is his last name? Fernando. Gosh, what is his last name? Where is it at? I found it. Where's it at? It's in here somewhere. This is gonna drive me insane. Fernando Prudhomme. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Prudhomme. Hopefully that's spelled right. Yes. Okay. So he was a huge influence on me many, many, many years ago. I can't remember all of his credentials. He's very esoteric, kind of occult. I don't know if he's like initiated into any of that. I'm not really sure, but he does have credentials. His health is not doing very well. He's gotten older, but he is like one of those people that has really truly, he knows his stuff. He does. If you look at the older videos, he certainly, I love the way he presented it. Yes, he drank too much alcohol, but his knowledge was very, he certainly recognized Mercury, how important it was, the nervous system. Sorry, that took me forever, but I had to give that credit. I think it's actually, oh, I don't put influences in my description box anymore. I'm running out of space. But I used to put all of my influences, giving credit where credit is due. C.S. Joseph is huge. Mina Arfan is huge. Fernando. Jolo. Yeah, I definitely want to give credit where credit is due. All right, so Mercury as the nervous system, the hidden layer almost nobody teaches. Your Mercury sign reflects how your body reacts, your stress response, your information tolerance, your mental pacing, whether you overthink or underprocess, whether you speak impulsively or cautiously, whether your anxiety shows in words or silence. Mercury is not just communication style. It is your entire nervous system strategy for making sense of reality. When Mercury is wounded, thoughts spiral, decisions feel unsafe, communication feels dangerous, your voice collapses or explodes, or hides, or rushes, or dissolves. When Mercury is healthy, your mind becomes your ally. Your voice becomes clear, your decisions align, your intuition sharpens, and your communication becomes magnetic. So this is just foundational video. I'm going to break all of these down even deeper. That's just how I am. Can't help myself. So Mercury as the messenger, the soul's translator. In esoteric tradition, Mercury is Hermes. Hermetic law. I'm just so in it right now. I'm all in a lot of different things right now. This is so freaking exciting. All right, so in esoteric tradition, Mercury is Hermes, the being who travels between worlds. In your chart, Mercury plays the same role. It moves between the logical mind, the emotional body, the intuition, the unconscious, and the higher self. When Mercury is integrated, you understand yourself, you understand others, you understand reality. When Mercury is fragmented, you misunderstand meaning, you misinterpret intentions, you distort your own truth, you disconnect from your intuition. Nervous system integration is literally tuning back in with your masculine and feminine within yourself, which kicks online your intuition. Synchronicities, timeline collapsing, magnetism, you name it. This stuff gets so deep. Mercury is literally the bridge that determines whether wisdom can travel into your mind or whether it gets blocked, twisted, or lost. Section 4, the shadow of Mercury, overthinking, underthinking, and distortion loops. Every Mercury placement has a shadow expression. When Mercury is overloaded, overthinking happens, intrusive thought. I'm so happy I don't deal with intrusive thoughts. Whew. Yeah, that's definitely like a Sagittarius, like, ugh, gosh. I haven't gotten that ego book done, but I can tell you I have tons of notes. Intrusive thoughts, man. The darker Scorpio, Sagittarius. Yeah. Whew. Sorry, I'm like very light, fluffy, the intrusive thoughts, I can't even imagine. All right, so when Mercury is overloaded, you can have overthinking, intrusive thoughts, analysis paralysis, catastrophizing, creating problems to solve patterns, or creating problems to solve problems, talking to regulate anxiety. Mercury, Sagittarius and Mercury, man. Shoo, gosh. There's like I'm an Aquarian mind and I'm very, very, very quick-minded, but they're honestly, intellectually, I would say Sag can probably tactically, concretely outwit, obviously, in real time Aquarians. Like, the intrusive thoughts is a huge problem, though. They cannot slow themselves down. All right, so when Mercury is underdeveloped, you're avoidant. You can have repression, refusal to express needs, shutting down under pressure, passive aggressive communication, and bypassing emotional truth. The distortion loop. When the mind is overwhelmed, it narrates trauma instead of truth. Mercury is powerful, but when wounded, it becomes the enemy inside your own head. Section 5, the polarity layer. Mercury as the inner masculine mind. This is your signature layer. Mercury represents the masculine logic, the decision maker, the communicator, the rational container, the clarity system. When Mercury is wounded, men become inconsistent, avoidant, mentally chaotic. Women overfunction mentally to compensate. Relationships lose polarity. Communication becomes war instead of connection. When Mercury is healed, the masculine becomes clear, the feminine softens, communication becomes leadership, words create safety, direction replaces confusion. Healthy Mercury equals polarity alignment. Section 6, Mercury retrograde, the planet everyone misunderstands. I'm sure you've heard of Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is not chaos. It is inventory. It forces you to rethink, rewrite, renegotiate, reevaluate, and realign your voice with your truth. So retrograde is turning around and going inside of yourself, the introversion of inventory. During retrograde, lies surface, misalignment becomes visible, suppressed truths rise, hidden emotions speak, and outdated identities collapse. Mercury retrograde is your soul editing your script. Without it, your life would become a first draft forever. Mercury in trauma. The story you tell yourself becomes the life you live. Trauma rewires Mercury through hypervigilance. The mind scans for danger. Disassociated Mercury. The mind disconnects to stay safe. People pleasing. The voice performs instead of expressing. Defensive. Words become armor. Silent. Truth feels dangerous. Healing Mercury requires rewiring the internal narrative so it matches your soul, not your wounds. It all starts in the mind. Gosh, I literally got into fitness and bodybuilding and nutrition and went down that path for a long time, 10, 12 years, something like that, 12 years or whatever. I just now realized I'm like having a little epiphany right now. I've been doing this crazy research for 2 decades, and I almost have it split half and half between the emotional or the physical. I did the fitness, bodybuilding, nutrition, yoga. I live that lifestyle, like extreme discipline with my diet. I lived that lifestyle for 12 years. Like I've always been that way, but I like especially was disciplined for 12 years on that side of the axis, which is like Taurus stuff. And now I'm more on the psychological Scorpio for about 10 years now. I'm almost half and half of 20 years. I just realized that. That's so cool. Anyways, that's something. That's really, I eventually am going to relaunch my fitness business, but I am hammering this business right now. And when I feel very, very like I have a lot of work out there in this business, I will relaunch that one and run them both. So, yeah, that's exciting. All right, Mercury in relationships. Communication is not talking, it's translating nervous systems. I feel like I missed something. Healing Mercury requires rewriting the internal narrative so it matches your soul, not your wounds. So, yes, I did get that in there. All right, so Mercury in relationships. Communication is not talking, it's translating nervous systems. Communication problems are not communication problems. They are emotional regulation problems, nervous system mismatches, unmet attachment needs, unclear internal identity, unresolved triggers. Yes, communication problems are grounded in not understanding yourself, not understanding others, not having your own nervous system regulated, the other person not having their nervous system regulated, unresolved shadow trauma work, non-integration within yourself. Yes. You don't communicate from your logic, you communicate from your wound or your healing. Mercury decides if you can hear your partner through emotion, if your partner can hear you, if conversations escalate or soften, if communication deepens or collapses. A healthy Mercury equals relationship longevity. A wounded Mercury equals relationship misfires. Alrighty, so section 9, the Aquarian Age Mercury, the mind upgrade. So we are in the Aquarian Age collectively. So Pluto in Aquarius reboots Mercury for the entire planet. This era demands discernment, pattern recognition, intuitive logic, critical thinking, sovereignty, and mental immunity. AI is rewiring information flow. Technology is reshaping perception. The collective Mercury is undergoing ego death, narrative collapse, and mental detox. This era requires humans who can think independently, fixated Aquarius, not regurgitating programmed thought, mainstream thought. Your Mercury becomes your survival tool. All right, so how to heal Mercury, your practical tools. These are concrete practices. Stop explaining yourself. Clarity replaces justification. Speak slower. It regulates the nervous system. Write daily. Mercury loves transcription. Get quiet enough to hear your intuition. Mercury can't decode noise. Challenge your first thought. It's usually the wound speaking. Name your patterns. Awareness dissolves distortion. Practice embodied listening. Listen without preparing your response. Train your nervous system to tolerate truth. Mercury thrives on honesty. Mercury expands when you do. So in closing, your Mercury is not your mind, it is your messenger. It is the bridge between the self you know and the self you have not met yet. Heal your Mercury and your voice becomes magic. Your perception becomes power. Your mind becomes a doorway instead of a cage. All right, so I derailed on this a few times and I have a 30-minute video. I thought it was going to be 15 minutes. So anyways, hopefully you had fun. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you now look at Mercury unlike you ever have before. That is kind of my goal here, tying in all of these systems that I've been studying for the last 2 decades. My gosh, time is flying. Anyways, keep a young spirit, you know what I'm saying? Anywho, like and subscribe. Feel free to comment below your thoughts and feelings on this topic. And I do plan on probably within the next couple of days, give or take. I'm not really sure, but I am going to launch an ebook on this series specifically. I will probably try to pretty it up because the planets are beautiful and I'm a very visual creature. And so, yeah, I will be launching an ebook on this series so that you can have that in your phone. I am going to get my darn ebooks on Amazon. I keep saying that. I haven't done it yet because I keep creating more series and more ebooks. Yeah, so that is an end goal for me, is to get my ebooks on Amazon because I do want physical copies. I will definitely be passing it down, and I just don't see this work anywhere. So it's, yeah, it's awesome and I absolutely enjoy it. So I hope you do too. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.